Hi, Cancers, and welcome to your May 2017 General Tarot Forecast. This is Sky, and I'm here to give you guys hopefully another amazing reading for your month ahead. So, you guys are feeling tired. You guys are feeling a little bit overwhelmed, potentially. In a way, better, though. So, May, I feel, comes to you guys feeling as if you have to pay some kind of price, feeling as if things have become less mundane, less easy, but at the same time, as if you're getting closer to your goal, and this kind of is exciting to you. I see a lot of you Cancers, and I'm kind of just jumping right into it because it's kind of come to me very suddenly. You guys are dealing with people who aren't necessarily out for your best interest, and which is interesting because Cancer is all about the self, all about self-interest, all about self-validation, not in an egoic way, in a good way. So the fact that you've come into a place, Cancer, where it seems that so many people are against you and so many people don't want to support you in your endeavors shows that you've really come to a very specific, potent place on your spiritual path. And I feel for you guys, this is a part of your path where you feel you're having to juggle. You're having to treat certain relationships in very different ways from other relationships, which is making you sort of lose track of your own volition, making you lose track of where you actually stand. Because I feel like an archetype of fakeness or a plastic sort of expression from you right now, which makes me think that there are so many people who need so many different things from you. And you kind of like Libra Cancer have turned into a chameleon where you are helping other people when you don't necessarily want to, or you're having to act a certain way towards other people and it's feeling quite fake to you. You're feeling like you're having to balance other people's emotions and you're having to balance other people's well-being in a way that makes you stray from your own. And I know that you guys have been dealing with this for a long time, but it's different this month because you've realized it. You've realized ever since last summer, this part of your personality. And you've made efforts to, pull in people that you thought were more geared towards your own authenticity. And that's been successful. It's not been quite as successful as you've wanted because you realize that people change and you realize that people don't necessarily stay the same. So people who might have really resonated with your sense of authenticity maybe almost a year ago at that point in time are now having changes that make them not resonate so much with you. And that's hard for you to understand because you really strive for that consistency. You really want to be the same person for people that you've always been. And I feel like this comes in to teach you a very strong lesson, Cancer, that you are changing too. And you can see through other people's changes how you need to change. And it's also a message that you need to not prolong a sense of normalcy, to prolong something that's stale for you just because other people can't prolong themselves for you. You don't have to be like a hero and keep yourself in a stagnant place so that other people have like this amazing sort of role model of consistency to look up to. There's something about you that wants consistency so bad, Cancer, that you're willing to kind of destabilize yourself just to keep consistent. And that's something that you have to work with this month because you have the Tower in your reading. You have the Empress as well. So those are such opposite archetypes. The Empress represents comfort, easiness, and the Tower represents discomfort and difficulty. So there's a very fine line between that right now. Maybe things that usually seem very easy for you, Cancer, are very difficult this month and vice versa. Some of you might even be in a shadow place where you're unconsciously pulling in some difficult circumstances because you want things to be less stale, because you want things to be more dynamic in your life. You're struggling with endurance too, out of other people's taking advantage of you, and maybe not even necessarily them trying to do that, but you feel as if you're taken advantage of. You feel like people are not, again, out for your best interest, and that makes you feel very tired, like you're having to endure the relationships because you always try so hard to work with other people. On the bright side, Cancer, it will be a great month for you to travel. It will be a great month for you to learn more about yourself through experiencing new locations. Again, not trying too hard, since we're still at the beginning of the year through the equinox time. I'm not trying too hard to understand the difficult facets of your personality, rather allowing new experiences and new locations to teach you at a more surface level. Okay, on that note, Cancer, I want to get into the week-to-week part of this reading and give you more messages that way to see how you can deliver yourself this nicer experience, okay? So in the first week, you guys have Two of Pentacles rooted down by Five of Wands reversed. It's a lot of discord, okay? And it's not even that much on the outer world. A lot of people see you as doing very well. A lot of people see you as somebody to look up to, as a role model. Again, you guys are a role model to a lot of people right now, so you might be feeling that pressure. Even you may not even realize it. You may not realize how much even complete strangers see you in public and see you as somebody who, wow, I wish that I could carry myself like that. I wish that I had that presence, okay? Which is strange for you, Cancer. It's more like your next stage Leo. So a lot of you have kind of evolved up on your spiritual path where you're kind of getting more Leonine traits. Also, for those of you who have Leo in your birth chart, you have a very strong presence this month, and that's been building in you for a long time. So that strong presence makes people around you think that you're happy, think that you're things are easy for you right now, even when they may not be. So in the first week, you're dealing with that. You're dealing with feeling very scattered, but people thinking that you're great and thinking that you're wonderful. And you are kind of, wanting that as well, it seems like. Because Two of Pentacles represents trying to balance two worlds. It represents kind of wanting to do that as well. It's not necessarily that you want to prioritize one or the other. You're trying to keep both alive, which isn't always a bad thing. But, you've been on this journey of authenticity, this journey of finding out what is an easy wavelength for you to exist on in a way that you're not having to be fake. So if you're having to balance these two parts of your personality and one of them seems fake, it would be better to focus on the one that's not fake. But this could be other things too, just like balancing like checkbooks or something. This could be a need to make sure that all the sectors of your life are in harmony, okay? Your money versus your career, your relationships versus your money. Some of those things could be a little bit skewed right now. Two of Pentacles has been coming up for a lot of people this month. So it seems like May is really a month to match things, to balance and put things in harmony if we can, okay? And that's rooted down by Five of Wands reversed. So it seems like conflict within your family, conflict in the workplace even. Some kind of conflict is making you realize the different parts of your personality that you've been balancing for a long time. And that's good. That's somewhere that you've needed to be for a while, but it does feel uncomfortable. Moving into the second week with Seven of Swords reversed rooted down by the Tower, it's actually pretty good. The Tower, I feel, is good for you this month, and it has been good for you guys for a while. You've had the Tower, I think, more than any other sign since I started my channel. And for you guys, you just have to focus on, rather than focusing on how much the Tower can break down parts of you that you wish existed, how can you use that destabilizing, breaking energy to break the parts of your life that you don't feel serve you anymore? How can you destroy those parts of yourself? And that's kind of a scorpionic way to think and might kind of make Cancers feel uncomfortable, or not, depending on, how centered you feel. But how can you destroy the parts of yourself that will come crumbling down anyway? It would be better to experience that discord now than for it to rear its head and, let it be on the universe's time and potentially a much more inconvenient time, because it does seem like you have time in May. That's another thing. For those of you who feel very overworked or who feel like you've had to go so much, it does seem like you get a pause with the Empress, because the Tower usually represents a pause as well, because you have this sudden fall, and then you kind of have the Eye of the Storm type of archetype as well with the Tower, and the Empress as well. So it seems like you might get some time off if you're working a lot, or you might even take some vacation time or sick days, something that gives you a lot of time to focus. That'll be good for you guys because you are running low on energy this time of the year. This is one of the most difficult times of the year for Cancer moving into May, because in June, you guys will have your solar return. You guys will have that energy deposit. So in May, you're at the very kind of wit's end of your energy, and you do have to pace yourself, and you have to keep a healthy stride so that you're not burning out, so that you're not falling into yourself. There can be potential for illnesses, for nothing too severe, but just things like fatigue, things that just make it a little bit harder to, function at your highest level. So work with that, Cancers. Don't force it. Some of you might even have an ideation that the fatigue that you're experiencing or the lack of energy just needs to be pushed through, and it needs to be, like you might feel like you're just fatigued because you're lazy, or you're fatigued because you're oversleeping. That's not so much the case, Cancer. It's just the time of the year. In about a month and a half, you guys will be completely re-energized and rejuvenated. And I feel that Cancer time this year, starting June 21st, will be great for everybody. I feel that there's a need for a Cancerian energy to come in with all the fire stuff that we have in the area with Saturn and Uranus in fire signs, and Mars being in Gemini, and just there's a bunch of fire air activity going on. So it'll be nice to get some water energy to cool it all down. So for all the water and earth signs especially, burnout is such a big possibility right now, and especially for you guys because you're at the end of your solar activity in May. So just be careful for being burned out. The Nine of Wands is also all about burnout. The Tower and Seven of Swords, and almost all these cards, almost except for the Empress, Knight of Cups, and Page of Cups, can be associated with burnout. So beware of that and take proper precautions. How can you pace yourself? How can you delegate your work in a way that you're doing a consistent smaller amount versus waiting or procrastinating and having to do so much at once? That will be much better for you in May. And so in the second week, again, you have Seven of Wands reversed, weighted down by the Tower. So you might feel taken advantage of. There might be people in your life who feel like they're not giving credit to you when it's something that you've produced. Again, this is a way to look into yourself. This is a way to understand which parts of yourself need to fall back, need to fall away. Not to fall within, but to fall away. Understand the difference between falling within and falling away. That's a big thing for you in Cancer, for you Cancer in May. And moving into the third week, you guys have Nine of Wands rooted down by the Empress. This is where the endurance comes up. This is where I feel the biggest potential for burnout comes for you. Although, do remember with burnout, Cancer, that's always a very powerful time, actually, because once you go through a burnout, once you realize that the things in your life are not suiting you, the universe very quickly gives you an opportunity to change that. So don't fear burnout if it's inevitable. And also that being weighted down by the Empress, it's like there's something about your burnout that just leads you to make a more comfortable circumstance for you. This might not come very instantly, but the wheels start turning for that. Also, this can represent a new relationship coming in. Maybe you feel burned out and you decide to quit your job, or you decide to take a vacation or take a few sick days and you go somewhere that you've never been before, and all of a sudden you meet your soulmate. There are potentials like that in the third week, Cancer, but don't rely too heavily on it. You're not quite in your element. So that's another thing. If you feel like you're trying to relate to other people right now, or you're trying to pull in that new relationship and everybody just kind of seems to be not understanding your jokes, not understanding your vitality, okay? Misinterpreting what you're saying, miscommunications, completely normal in May for Cancer. And not to be taken to heart, not to be taken in a way that puts you into the Tower, but rather to be taken in a way that's like, people don't understand my humor. People don't understand what I have to give to the world. How beautiful is that? Because that just puts you into like a higher percentile, Cancer, and the people that do understand you will be that much more in touch with your spirituality and your journey, because you don't just need anybody right now, Cancer. You're kind of in a place, I don't want to say you're desperate because you're not, but you're in a place where any kind of, nice action or people understanding where you're coming from or really laughing at your jokes could potentially make you blind to their bad sides or to their negative personality traits. So take people not understanding you as a blessing for you to be able to see the negative aspects of their personality before it was too late. That's a good perspective to take in May, Cancer, because most likely people will not get where you're coming from. And that's a blessing, honestly. This isn't a good time to start long-term relationships. It's a good time to see what your options are, to analyze your choices. But as for really long-running new connections, it can be very skewed during this time. It's better to wait until your solar return at late June and moving into July, of course, depending on when you were born. And, having Page of Cups as your central theme, you're reworking like how you showcase your emotions, how you wear your heart on your sleeve. I don't feel that this is another person for you. If it is, I feel that it's somebody from your past that you just can't get off your mind, because Page of Cups can be somebody from your past. It can be like messages from somebody from your past, and it's reversed, so it's not what you want it to be. So again, just remember what I said about negative personality traits and not really experiencing what you want in that case if it does end up being somebody from your past. But this is all for the grander scheme of things, where you're learning how to convey emotion to other people. It's something that Cancer always battles with. Okay, 4th week, you guys go into Knight of Wands, rooted down by Knight of Cups. Interesting, because Scorpio had 2 court cards in the 4th week as well. So I've always talked about the Cancer-Scorpio connection and how it's been recently. So I feel that the first 3 weeks of May are majorly internal, and then the 4th week you have like options. You have new people come in. You can, again, meet new people like I'm talking about, the choices and options. It's upright for you, so it seems to be a decent experience, but it's fire and water. It's Wands and Cups, so it seems like there's a conflict or something that contradicts. Okay, contradiction. That's a big keyword for you guys here as well. Balancing the outward part of yourself versus the inward part of yourself. And people that come in that trigger this within you. That's more what it's about in the 4th week, because new people do come in. You could also decide to go traveling in the 4th week of May, and that's very supported. You know, getting away and being in new territory until maybe even going somewhere where they don't speak English, or whatever your first language is. Go somewhere where your first language isn't spoken, so you're not having to overanalyze people's words. Maybe go somewhere where you don't understand the language. That could be very healing for you until your solar return comes away, because you are overinterpreting language and words right now, or just not really understanding it, period. Like not really understanding people. Being so caught up in your own internal affairs, Cancer, that you're not really even paying attention to what other people see. That's possible for you in May. And be careful of how you're coming off to other people. Not for them, but just for you, because you have the potential to come off in the way that you're not really wanting to. So just think about it, and you'll be in a lot happier territory. There are like uncomfortable conversations in May as well, potentially. But again, they're for the betterment of yourself. But don't be so passive, Cancer. If you have a problem with somebody, tell them about it. Don't care so much about how they respond. Start a dialogue, start conversations. Sometimes you're very passive aggressive, and that will come back to bite you this month, because people will misinterpret your passive aggression for something that doesn't exist, or they will think that you're being passive aggressive when you're really not, just because, you know, you've been there before. So all in all, Cancers, don't be so insecure. Don't worry so much. You know, care with grace. Like, be graceful to those around you in a way that you always want to be. And listen to people around you, not necessarily, like, just pay attention. Like, you're kind of not situationally aware. You could be so in your head that you're not paying attention to what's going on around you. So when you're driving, pay attention. When people are around you who you care about, pay attention. You know, there's a conflict that comes just from you being so in your own head. And honestly, Cancer, a little bit, you know, like, nobody else has problems, it's just me, and for that reason I don't have to consider other people. And that's not bad. That's good, okay? That's the first step to understanding of higher spiritual side of life. But that's never how Cancer wants to be interpreted, ever. Like, Cancer wants the people that they love to be happy and to understand themselves. So, you know, watch out for being so in your head, Cancer, that you convey yourself in a way that your loved ones feel that you don't like them or something, or feel that they've done something wrong if they haven't, okay? Because you're not doing that on purpose. It's just something that could happen. So for some of you, you're not struggling with that. For some of you, you can just be comfortable. But I do feel there's a bit of inevitability with miscommunication or contradictions this month. So just be prepared, Cancer. I always tell it how it is. I try to look at the positive side, but overall, May comes in, is a very teaching time, and a time to show you how you communicate and how you get stuck in yourself so that you can fix it in the future. So as long as you can understand that this has a reason, you're fine. But if you feel like it doesn't have a reason, if you feel like you're a victim, or you feel like nobody has it as hard as you, then this extends for a much longer time. So just keep that in mind, Cancer. It's something that all the water signs go through. It's not just you. Anyway, you guys are beautiful. You're thriving. You're looking great. Like, any exercise or diet regimen goes really well. you might be feeling worn out with that. You know, with 9 of Wands and the Empress, I see you guys might be taking on a new health regimen. Really good to focus on yourself in that way, and very successful as long as you carry through or carry it out. So, you know, do focus on things like that because you need to get out some of this pent-up energy. It would be good to sweat. It would be good to go to a sauna or get a massage or something. Something that reminds you that you can feel like you're letting go of something in May. Okay, Cancers, this is all for this reading. If this didn't resonate, you can check out your Sun, Moon, Rising in the top left-hand corner. There's the playlist. You can also book a private reading with me here or subscribe to my channel. Wishing you guys all the luck. I'm rooting for you. You're some of my favorite people. Talk to you guys later. Bye.